Slow down. Cooper, slow down.
Woody weasels and warthogs and wallabies and wombats, shaggy dragonflies and dingy little daddy longlegs, butterflies and bumblebees and bandicoots and...
The companion animals in our lives have a lot to teach us. They teach us about responsibility because every animal that we bring into our homes is completely dependent on us for everything. We give to them and they give back to us. We teach them and they teach us. We laugh at their antics. We try to teach them manners. We play with them. We bask in their warmth as they jump up and curl down next to us. Okay, so where am I going with this? So far, I haven't said anything that's news to anybody. I can see a lot of you out there nodding in agreement, and I bet you're all thinking about your loved pets, the ones you brought here today. The pets that are cute and cuddly, and even those iguanas over there who come every year, Sir Camelot and Ghost. They come every year, and they may not be traditionally cute, but in the eyes of their owners, they are adorable. The owners have come to appreciate their unique qualities. So where I am going with this today is that I would like to spend some time considering animals who may not be so cute and cuddly, the ones who don't have a place in our homes, because often they're thought of as creatures that are put here for our use. We talked in the song about weasels and warthogs and wallabies and wombats and other such animals. But today I would like to call your attention to the pigs that we see more as ham and eggs and bacon. Chickens we think of in terms of chicken McNugget or eggs. Cows we think of more in terms as dairy products and steak than animals with a life, who are not really all that different from our beloved pets. They seek comfort, they like freedom, they respond to love, and they feel pain. These animals have unique personalities too, but nobody ever sees them because they spend their lives locked in cages where they can barely move. They can never be free to be the beings that God created them to be. The places where these animals live are called factory farms, and they are really part of a factory. They are mere units of production, and well over 90% of all the milk and dairy products and meat that we eat come from places like this. We breed these animals by the millions only to deprive them of any sort of normal existence. Then we kill them for food that we don't even need. We justify this by saying that this is the way things have always been. But you know what? Just because things have always been a certain way doesn't mean that they always have to stay that way. We know from science that practically no one has to eat animal flesh in order to be healthy. What we should be doing is moving forward toward the loving vision that God had for all of his creation. And there are plenty of examples in Scripture to support this. Animals are living beings, not things. But that is how in our world today, not just in the United States, but everywhere, a great many animals are treated. The two scripture passages that we read here are not often thought of in terms of our non-human neighbors, but they have everything to do with animals. In the passage from John, Jesus gets angry and drives the merchants out of the temple. At the same time, he releases the animals who were being sold there for profit. They were to be used as sacrifices. Getting back now to our own time. What drives these giant factory farms, if not profit? Animals are constantly being sacrificed, and it is always about money. It is about money for the people at the top of the power ladder. The people who work in these places are the poorest of the poor, working for very low wages. These people are so poor and desperate that they will do this degrading, awful, soul-killing, and violent work that no one else wants to do. The suffering of animals in factory farms came close to home for all of us here in North Carolina not too long ago, in the aftermath of Hurricane Florence, as we saw sad pictures of the bodies of some 3.4 million chickens and the 5,500 pigs dead in the floodwaters. I would be remiss if I didn't mention this at a religious service focused on animals and the feast day of St. Francis of Assisi. This tragedy was, as it always is, reported on the news in terms of the profit that was lost to the farmers. I have never heard on the news anything being said about the suffering of God's animals, about those pigs and chickens who felt the floodwaters coming up in their cages and knew they couldn't get out. In the second scripture reading, Jesus said that whatsoever we do to the least of these, we also do to him. If you go to church, you've heard this many, many times. We are used to thinking of the least of these as humans, as people who are poor and have no political or economic voice. And this is true. It's absolutely true. It is about people. But what about animals who have no voice and who never will be able to stand up and speak for themselves? We must speak for them. We must be their voice. We must protect them from abuses of power, just like we must do for our fellow humans. Well, I'm afraid I'm not leaving you here today with a whole lot to feel good about, but do feel good about the fact that the creatures who depend on you, you are giving them a lot of love and wonderful lives. Do feel good that you don't keep animals from the motive of profit. Do feel good that maybe you have thought a little more deeply today about something that normally people don't really think about. And feel good that maybe you can alter your lives in small ways that will at least not support the industries that cause harm to God's other creatures, the ones who, unlike your companion animals, could not be here today to receive a blessing, animals who never have a speck of love in their lives. These animals are no less valuable in God's eyes. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely got to be standing with that guy. She is 2 years old. You're gonna get bit.
Well, and bless this wonderful dog, Chanel, and the people.
Amen.
Every year we hold this Blessing of the Animals service here at Duke Chapel as a way of reminding people that God has created all of this beauty around us, and most certainly the creatures that share our lives. So we want people to come and bring their companion animals, but also to think about the wider story of who we all are in terms of this big, broad world. We are all part of a larger picture, and we want to remember that, after all, we too are animals.